Welcome back. Was it a real-time rug pull? Well, we're going to be discussing what in the mantra is going on here. The first major rug pull, they kind of, whether it was or was not a rug pull, look at the price of the coin, gone down 90% basically overnight. And what we're going to be doing in today's video is breaking it down and kind of really understanding where we are in the cycle. Because in my view, this is another indicator. Yet again, we have been seeing indication after indication that we are basically at the final stages of the bull market. Now, there are a lot of people who've been saying, but Cryptoviser, what bull market are you talking about? How can we be in the final stages of the bull market when we didn't even have a bull market? But again, even just looking at the mantra price, just in the last 1 year, we've seen massive growth. And this is beyond really what we've seen in the rest of crypto, which has been massive gains. And although much of it has been corrected and pushed down over 50% in most cases, the market is still much higher than we were in the bear market, especially the big ones like Bitcoin, Ethereum wavering, XRP is higher, Solana's higher. Tron is higher, Dogecoin, Cardano, everything is much higher. So I'm going to break it down in today's video why I believe we are at the end stages of the bull market, why this whole mantra debacle is basically giving me another reason that we potentially are going to see one more major uptrend, which could last a few weeks, a few months, and then we are entering the bear market. Don't forget to give this video a free thumbs up and also hit that subscribe button. That way you never miss a new video. We upload almost every single day to bring you the latest happening in the financial world. Now, today's video, we are going to be going back and forth from crypto to kind of the general economy because, as you guys know, there is definitely some correlation between what's happening in the general economy, what's happening with the Bitcoin purchases from MicroStrategy and El Salvador and all of this, and what's happening in the traditional market. So we're going to start right here with this whole mantra debacle, which sparked liquidations and accusations as Laser Digital denies their role in the OM token crash and more. So the block did a really good kind of explanatory piece on what exactly occurred. I'm going to try to break it down with you, but just as a too long didn't read, Mantra went, as you guys see here in November of 2024, from about $1.50 all the way up to $8. So basically like a 6 or 7x. And even from earlier in 2024, it went from 65 cents all the way up to 847, which is basically like a 12 or 13x. And just the other day, you guys can see here on the 1 month chart, we basically went from $6 down immediately, just a one major wick drop from $6 something to basically 60 cents. So a 90% reduction. And there was a lot of community outrage about this. But let's kind of understand what occurred. So the Mantra OM token plunged 90% in a matter of hours on Sunday in April from around $6 to 45 cents, sparking concerns over a potential rug pull or a hack. The Mantra team attributed the crash to reckless liquidations caused by large investors' forced position closures on centralized exchanges. That's according to the co-founder of OM, that person. Now, let's just kind of understand where the volume is. Right now, when I'm recording this, day after this major event, $1.5 billion in volume. But this doesn't really tell us what the volume looked like before this major situation, which was basically zero. You can see here, basically when the coin was at about $6.20 in the end of April, no, this is the beginning of April, you can see that the volume was basically in the $90 million range, $100, $200 million, this little heap a few days before this crash, then kind of stabilization. But again, we went from about $90 to $91 million a day in volume, all the way up to $200 million in volume within 2 weeks. I don't know if that's normal kind of movement, 100% gains and 50% losses in the actual volume, but I'm just telling you guys what we're seeing on the screen here. And then volume started to decrease. And you can see here, we basically went from this peak at the beginning of April. My dog is making some noise. basically going from $200 million back down to $80 million, $75 million, 70, 60. And you can see that as volume dropped off, this is when the major drop occurred. But it is interesting that initially we see the volume increasing, and basically this could be the traders and algorithms getting excited about where the market is going. And if you see volume basically doubling, which it did, right? April 9th, we were at $90 million in volume in 24 hours. And then later that day, it basically doubled. So, a trader could look at this and say, wow, we have massive inflows coming in. While, insiders could be looking at that and saying, wait, we have massive inflows coming in. This could be the pump to dump on, right? Because as you guys know, you can't dump in a bear market because there's no volume, there's no liquidity coming in. And so, really, the way to offload coins is basically sell during a pump. Now, when insiders do this, there's a problem because insiders have a lot of coins. And, if you're monitoring these, legacy or Genesis wallets, right, from the beginning that were given to insider teams, and you see that the insiders are dumping, that causes panic because people are like, wait, why are insiders dumping? It's like a CEO of a company selling their stock, right? If you don't understand or know why they're selling their stock, like for instance, Michael Saylor a few years ago sold all his stock to MicroStrategy. And if we didn't understand why he was selling it probably to go buy Bitcoin, then you would probably panic a little bit if you were a MicroStrategy shareholder, right? And so the same thing goes in crypto. If you see insider wallets are selling, this can cause panic and cause triggering of basically liquidation bots that go in and close positions, price goes down, then they get liquidated. And anybody who's leveraged in basically gets liquidated out. Anyway, in a message to the project's Telegram channel before it was made inaccessible, a community lead denied that the crash resulted from any team members selling. The Layer 1 real-world asset blockchain project had previously faced allegations of controlling large portions of the token circulating supply in an attempt to manipulate the price, which they previously rebuffed. And so the price collapsed to at least $70 million in liquidations within 24 hours, and positions losing over $1 million, certain individual wallets. Meanwhile, Nomura's Laser Digital, a key investor in Mantra, denied involvement in this token crash and rejected claims of large-scale sales by wallets. Look on Chain, citing another intelligence firm, said that 17 addresses transferred $227 million worth of OM tokens to trading venues, including OKX, since April 7th, claiming 2 of those addresses were tied to Laser Digital. And so again, if you go back to, just about a few days ago, you can see that basically on April 6th, we had a little bit of a dip in the market and also dip in the volume. And then the volume started to pick up. So this whole transferring of coins and kind of preparing for a dump, whether it was insider coins or not, I don't know, but this all started a week before the actual cratering of the price, right? So keep that in mind. This could just be not actual insider trading. It could just be that bots and people who watch the markets saw that there was a lot of movement, more movement and more volume than they were seeing. And that could potentially create an environment where people become either super bullish or super bearish. And then they, move appropriately in their portfolios. And then if they are taking out leverage, again, that can create massive liquidations very rapidly if the prices move by just a very small amount. Anyway, okay, we went through that. Laser Digital stated that the wallets involved in the token transfers were unrelated to their firm, attributing it to a third-party financing trade, and stressed that its core OM investment remains locked. OKX said it adjusted risk parameters amid the investigation into potentially coordinating large-scale activity before the crash. And so, basically that's what goes on, guys. This is an indicator that we are at the top or very close to the top or end cycle of the market. Let me explain why. And by the way, if you're new to this channel, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. If you're not new, why have you not hit that thumbs up button already? It's free. Just click it. helps the channel. Anyway, moving right along. Here's the deal, guys. If you've been watching my videos, you know that my view, and based on historical data, 12 to 18 months after the Bitcoin halving is the most volatile movements in the crypto markets. And this is where you typically will see the most violent upswings and then downswings in the prices of these cryptos. Many of these cryptos, including Ethereum, have not even reached their all-time record high, while Bitcoin is continuing to sit at its all-time record high, very close to at least, while all these other companies, including MicroStrategy, continue to buy the top of the market, right? None of these companies, well, MicroStrategy was, but none of the other companies were really buying Bitcoin or holding Bitcoin in the bear market. They were all selling. All the Bitcoin mining companies, now we're in a bull market and they all want to take out debt to buy Bitcoin at the top of the market. I don't understand why they're doing this, but this is another indicator, right? Along with everything else that we're going to be talking about today. So when we start to see these rug pulls or these major dips in the price, to me, this indicates, number one, that the coin was probably overvalued to begin with. I mean, we're literally at prices where we were before the Trump pump, and most of the market is down below where we were before the Trump pump as well. So this could also be just the market kind of correcting the price of Mantra and not actual insider trading. But it doesn't matter. The point is that everybody is so focused on everything else going on in the market, that they're missing the point that there is still opportunities to make a lot of money. Because while Mantra is dumping and everybody's focused over there, this is the same thing that happened when FTX collapsed. When FTX collapsed in in November, the entire month of November, I remember every YouTuber, every social media influencer, everybody who was invested in crypto, all they were worried about was who was next. Binance, Grayscale, Circle, somebody's going down because FTX can't be the only one that goes down. It's like they weren't. Celsius, Voyager, 3 Hours Capital, Terra Luna, all those went down plus more. FTX was holding it all together. They were the last one to go down. And so I identified this was 1 year after the bull market. We bottomed basically at 18,000 when FTX did collapse. The rest of the markets looked fine. Binance seemed fine. Circle and Grayscale seemed fine. So everybody was focused on the wrong thing. Meanwhile, I was buying the bottom of the market while everybody was focused on something else is going to crash. It's like, no, that was the bottom of the market. And so while everybody's focused on Mantra, and Mantra went down, and this is crazy, Ethereum still sucks because it hasn't reached its all-time record high. It's like, boom, ergo, in just the week, has already done a 200% increase from 14 cents to 40 cents. And if we pull it back even more to 1 month, 5 cents to 40 cents, that's an 800% increase from the low. And this was just earlier in the month that we were at these prices of 5 cents. So there are other opportunities in the market. But again, this is like altcoin season has already began. Altcoin season is here. And so it's really important to be able to identify altcoin season, Bitcoin season, Ethereum season, right? Ethereum season is coming. It's coming soon. People are going to start buying at 2,000, 2,500, 3,000. And they're basically the ones who are going to be like super bullish on it, but they're the ones who are pumping the price up. And people who are buying now are going to be selling on the way up. To what price? I don't know. I mean, I really don't know. But we have an Ethereum upgrade coming up. That's a huge narrative. This is going to hopefully bring a lot of focus into the Ethereum ecosystem and layer 2s and everything Ethereum adjacent, because everything Ethereum adjacent, like Avalanche, they haven't really been moving, right? They really haven't. Solana has kind of taken up the whole market basically, but Solana has been dumping. And so there are moves happening in the markets, right? A 800% increase in a week. Mantra dropping by 90% in a day. Guys, this is alt season. Alt season is here. It is here already. And by the way, it's the indicators, not just the 12 to 18 months after the Bitcoin halving. The indicators also what's happening in the general economy. Because as people are not comfortable in holding dollars, or when they believe that, they kept buying the dip, and now we're kind of stabilizing and everybody's kind of getting bullish, people are going to start deploying their capital again, right? Not just like everyday retail investors, but like Warren Buffett, he's sitting on hundreds of billions of dollars in cash. You don't think he's going to put that or is already putting that into stocks? Of course he is. Anyway, Kraken is expanding beyond crypto with commission-free trading launch. And so what does this indicate? Well, the narrative. The narratives are what push the price or the valuations of the cryptos up. And as the crypto prices go up, the trading goes up. As trading goes up, the commissions that these exchanges make go up. And so they're going to be making tons of money as the prices of these cryptos are going up. And what else is going on? Kraken, Ripple, Circle, Gemini, they're all preparing to IPO or IPOing. I think Circle already is IPOing, but the other ones are preparing for it. They are going to IPO. They're going to announce the IPO. And this is going to cause a lot of money to pour in, not just to these ecosystems, right? In terms of like Kraken, Gemini, Ripple, but also into the coins that are traded and the accounts and the partnerships with different brokerages and stuff like that. That is going to expand as well. And this is all going to be part of the narrative that's going to push crypto to much larger heights. And a lot of this may also be with what we hear with the strategic Bitcoin reserve and what they do with Bitcoin mining and tax implications on crypto and all of this kind of stuff. And so the indications are there that we're kind of in this final phase. The final phase is going to be them IPOing. And again, this could happen over the next 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, who knows? But the idea here is to walk away from the bull market in profit, right? I mean, I would imagine this is the goal for most people, to walk away in profit, because there's a lot of people, guys, there's a lot of people that are going to walk away not in profit, that they could have been in profit. Not like they were just buying the top, but they could have sold, but they kept thinking it was going to go higher and higher and higher and higher. And so you have to have exit strategy. Yes, there's a lot of money coming into the markets. Yes, there's going to be coins that are pumping, but they may only pump once. They may dump once. And once they dump, nobody wants to buy it again, right? Nobody wants to buy it because nobody knows, is Mantra going to be able to recover? Maybe it will. And if it does, and you're invested in it, you could do really well. But in alt season, there's rotations from one coin to another, to another, to another, or from category, gaming to AI to layer twos to smart contract platforms. There will be kind of these rotations. We just don't know how many rotations there will be. But when there are rotations, you gotta capture that rotation, whether you're selling 50% of the portfolio or 10% of the portfolio. I know some people, they do 10% of their portfolio at this price, and then the price goes higher, another 10%. The price goes higher, another 10%. The price goes higher, another 10%. So they're dollar cost averaging on the way out, just like they're dollar cost averaging on the way in. But then the point after that is to not do anything. That's really the hardest part. Most people, as soon as they sell, they want to reinvest immediately. But you sold for a reason. Wait, right? Take a breather. People who sold in November, December of 2024, if they rebought back in December, January, February, they're probably down. But if they waited, they would have perfect opportunity now, as altcoin season is beginning, to get in before the rotations occur into the individual categories. The other thing to keep in mind is I don't really know that much about Mantra or what their focus is. Well, let's click about and find out. And by the way, while we're doing this, don't forget to give the video a free thumbs up. Mantra is a security-first real-world asset layer 1 blockchain capable of adherence and enforcement of real-world regulatory requirements. Okay, so it's in the RWA category. So what I would be looking at right now is other RWAs that may be overvalued and probably maybe get out. But if they're undervalued, they've already done the dump. Maybe it's a good time to get in. Ergo, AI, right? Real world assets, AI, these are newer categories for crypto. They're going to do extremely well, I think, in the cycle, but extremely well for how long? I don't know. Anyway, so we talked about Kraken, Circle, Gemini, Ripple, and basically here, we talked about Mantra saying it's not a rug pull. Binance Square, this user believes that it was a rug pull. They said this wasn't a market correction. This wasn't an orchestrated dump. They said just 48 hours before the crash, a wallet labeled Laser Digital sent 41 million worth of the coin to OKX, that wallet funded by GSR, a known market maker. Even worse, this person is saying that wallet is a listed investor in Mantra's own MEF fund. Insiders didn't just sell. This person says they positioned, dumped, and disappeared. It says tokenomic games. Mantra promised a generous airdrop, but the terms were changed multiple times. 20% unlocked, 0.3% unlocked today, and then 10% with the rest unlocked until 2027. Users were asked to stake to vote on the vesting. Suspicious wallets flooded the vote, likely fake. How can you have a fake wallet? I don't understand how you can have a fake wallet vote. Anyway, insiders delayed the distribution while retail remained trapped. The DAO wasn't decentralized, it was rigged. Here's the deal, guys. I mean, if this is the way that you feel about the individual crypto, right? You feel that it was rigged. You feel like they're not giving everybody a fair shot at voting. Sell the coin. I mean, especially we're talking about Mantra, which is all-time record highs. All-time record highs as of 3 or 4 days ago. So if you felt that way, then you should have sold at the all-time record high, right? This is the big issue with crypto investing. You have all these everyday people who are not researching this stuff. They watch Cryptoviser and they say, oh, Cryptoviser talked about this coin, so let me go buy it. Like literally in a few months, somebody was gonna say, well, Cryptoviser, you mentioned Mantra in a video, so I bought it. It's like, okay, but how is that my fault? Like, I'm not telling you what to do. I'm telling you guys my opinions on what's going on in the market, right? And so saying that this was a rug pull, maybe it was, I don't know. Maybe it was a rug pull. But again, we were just at all-time record highs. Why would you not have sold? Because you want to go higher. That's called greed. I'm not saying that it's wrong. I mean, I feel like everybody has done this in crypto. But here's the deal. Like, if you want to be an investor and you want to walk out of the cycle profitable, you have to take profits. Doesn't have to be the whole portfolio, but if a coin goes up 10x, it went from 60 cents in May of 2024 to $8. So 10x, right? Even earlier, I mean, it went up 5-6x. What other asset can you get that kind of return? You're not getting that in the stock market. You're not getting that on real estate immediately. You're not getting that on a car, right? So if you didn't like the distribution of the tokenomics or the voting, sell and move on. There's like millions of coins out there. There's millions of coins. And listen, again, I don't know whether it was or was not a rug pull. It doesn't matter, right? If a coin drops that much into my portfolio, I move on, right? There's nothing else you can do. There's really nothing else you can do. This is why I always say, like, we have to really focus on what is important in this market. And the title, or in the part of this video, I think I put it in the thumbnail. Buy these meme coins, the best meme coins to buy this year. You know which meme coins are the best to buy? None. Don't buy any meme coins, guys. If you buy a meme coin, it's going to go down in value over time. Even Dogecoin, it's built into the tokenomics of Dogecoin. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you probably shouldn't be investing in Dogecoin, because part of what you should be learning about when you're learning about these coins is the tokenomics, how they work, how the inflation mechanism works, how that's going to impact the dilution of the coins that you have, and therefore the valuation of the coins that you have. Yes, over time, the price can go up and you can still make amazing profits over it. But there's inflationary coins and deflationary coins. And what is Bitcoin? It's a deflationary coin, right? It's a fixed supply that effectively a lot of the coins the supply is going to go down over the course of time, because accessible coins are going to decrease, right? People are going to lose their wallets, coins get sent to the wrong address or whatever, and then these are inaccessible. So that's going to happen. And so it is effectively deflationary. Meme coins most likely are not. Newer coins, just in general, are generally not deflationary. They're inflationary. A lot of these coins, they're still inflating the circulating supply. Ripple is selling XRP onto the open market. That's include increasing the circulating supply of the coins. Cardano's doing this as well. Many of the coins are unlocking coins. Go to token.unlocks.app and you can see all the data for yourself. And so you can even click right here on CoinMarketCap, token unlocks, and you can see which coins are going to be increasing the supply. Solana does this on a weekly basis. Most people have no idea and don't really think that it has anything to do with the price, but it does. So yeah, don't buy meme coins, guys. If you buy the top cryptos that have actual use cases. But anyway, going back to where we are in the cycle, right? The top signals. Here's another one. Recently on this channel, we have highlighted Goldman Sachs boss says that the chances of a US recession have increased after the Trump tariffs. Now, even if these tariffs don't go into effect or they don't last that long, and then the market goes higher, we could still be in a recession. We can be in a recession and the market's at all-time record highs. And so as we've explained on the channel, even Ray Dalio is saying that he believes that we could be in something far worse than a recession. And I'm going to play this video so that you guys can hear it. What I want you guys to understand is like, they are telling us, and they may not be correct, right? But when I'm thinking about the market, I'm like, okay, I can be the most bullish person in the world, but I also have to have an exit strategy, right? I also have to be ready to sell or to move my assets into something else, whether it's stocks, maybe it's the dollar, maybe it's real estate, maybe it, who knows, right? But it's not always good to, it's not good to be in Bitcoin and move your assets to Bitcoin when we're moving into a bear market, right? But if we're moving into the final stages of a bull market, then I have to know what to do after that, right? Am I just taking it in cash? Am I putting it into stable coins? Am I putting it into stocks? Am I putting it into real estate? Like, what am I doing with the profits? You know, should I just pay off debt, buy a car? Like, what should I do? And so understanding that if the general economy goes into recession, the crypto market is very likely going to follow. Because if somebody can barely pay, you know, their paycheck to paycheck already, and then we go into a recession, and in a recession, companies are not hiring. In fact, we start to see more layoffs. And so let's say somebody gets laid off, or, you know, a percentage of the population gets laid off, and then they can't get a new job, but they still have all this, these bills. What is the first thing they're going to sell? Their crypto, especially if their crypto is down 80, 90%, or 50%, or 30%, they're going to sell. Because hopefully, if they've been holding for a long time, they're still in profit, and they're going to sell to pay their bills. And so even in a recessionary environment, crypto is not necessarily safe. We saw this during 2022 when the inflation numbers were coming out 9%, and people are like, oh my God, I got to stop spending. I got to stop spending, right? We saw the economy kind of backtrack very rapidly. And so this could have an impact on the crypto markets. I don't think we're there yet. And what they're saying, you know, Ray Dalio, the banks, they look at things, they look at all the data now, and they know what is going on, how people are spending, how people are saving, what the accounts look like, what the balances look like. And so they know what's going on. It takes a while until it's realized in the economy, right? People may see the prices of eggs going up, but they don't realize how high it went until somebody's like, wait, how much did you just pay for eggs? You know, or whatever the case is. You know, I remember at the beginning, like when car prices started to go up, one of my friends bought a car and it was very expensive. Like, I think 20,000 over asking, like the MSRP. And I was like, wait, you paid what? And they were like, yeah, it was like 20,000 over MSRP, but you know, it's because it, you know, they have very limited supply. I'm like, did you need a car that bad? And they were like, wait, I just paid 20. And then they realized, they were like, wait, I paid $20,000 over. And it wasn't even like they needed another car. They just wanted to get another car. I'm like, that was not the time to buy the car. Obviously they're happy with it, but they're not happy with the payment. That's the problem. And so the banks are telling us this. Ray Dalio is telling us they believe that a recession, like this could be a year or two from now, maybe not, you know, tomorrow. But let's listen to what Ray Dalio says here, because I do think that this is going to impact crypto specifically. And this is why I think that the next major jump up is going to make everybody kind of forget that we potentially we're just talking about a recession, right? So let's listen in.
I think that right now we are at a decision-making point and very close to a recession. And I'm worried about something worse than a recession if this isn't handled well. A recession is two negative quarters of GDP, and whether it goes slightly there, we always have those things. We have something that's much more profound. We have a breaking down of the monetary order. We are going to change the monetary order because we cannot spend the amounts of money, so we have that problem. And when we talk about the dollar and we talk about tariffs, we have that. We are having profound changes in our domestic order, how ruling is existing, and we're having profound changes in the world order. Such times are very much like the 1930s. I've studied history, and this repeats over and over again. So if you take tariffs, if you take debt, if you take the rising power challenging the existing power, if you take those factors and look at the factors, those changes in the orders, the systems, are very, very disruptive. How that's handled could produce something that is much worse than a recession. I think that.
And so just hearing what he's saying, right? I mean, even if you don't agree or believe everything that he's saying, like, I do think that we are seeing the transition, and we're going to, especially with the stablecoin legislation, if they ever pass it, that is going to change the way that banks, payment processors all interact on the back end with the dollar, because there's a high likelihood that Tether is going to get regulated in the US, USDC as well. Well, I mean, USDC is already regulated in the US, Tether some places. But here's the deal. When these are backed and they have direct lines to the Federal Reserve, which USDC already has, they are effectively, they're not the issuing central bank, but they are issuing the USDC coins. So in effect, they are the new central bank. Now, granted, they're backing it with real dollars and dollar-denominated assets, but those dollars and dollar-denominated assets are backed by the Fed and the Treasury. And so we are already seeing this happen. Now, what does this mean for crypto? I mean, for stablecoins, this is good because there's going to be a lot of investment into a lot of things that they're doing. So anything that Circle or USDC is tied into is going to get a lot of inflows, right? Because once they can access the digital economy, Circle, stablecoins, for instance, they can then go and start transacting. And then when they realize, wait, I can use Solana for payment processing, and it's going to cost almost nothing compared to Visa, MasterCard, where they're charging 3-4%. And by the way, Visa and MasterCard, they can also jump on board. I know Visa is getting on board with a lot of stablecoin issuers, and I would imagine they're doing this to lower costs. And if so, if they're lowering costs, where do those costs normally stand? With the banks, right? So these banks are going to have to either get on board with blockchain and crypto, or they're going to be non-existent, as a business. And so all of this is going to take time, right? So if we start to see like things happening, like for instance, MicroStrategy, they started buying Bitcoin, but now they buy Bitcoin and nobody even blinks, like it's just normal. As more of these things occur, this is kind of continuing to grease the wheels of the Bitcoin ecosystem. The more that we see of MicroStrategy, and more of the acceleration of adopting Bitcoin for payments or for store of wealth or value or trading or whatever the situation is, this is going to progressively increase all the dynamics of the Bitcoin market. And also, I would imagine, stabilize the price somewhat. But in between then and now is we're going to have a lot of volatility in the markets, and understanding that the volatility is not only going to be to the upside, it's also going to be to the downside. And so for all the upside that everybody wants, we have to take downside like this. But this, for me, is an indicator. Looking at Mantra, looking at Ergo. I mean, what cryptos have we seen in 1 month, in 1 day, jump or drop by 800%, 90%? We don't see it. So now that we're starting to see it, in my view, this is a clear indicator, a clear understanding that we are in altcoin season. And therefore, in my view, this is the final pump. This is the final pump. Now, it could last for a while, but this is the final pump for this cycle. 12 to 18 months after the Bitcoin halving, we are in that zone right now. And so we have to, basically act accordingly like that. Oh, by the way, I did pull up this article. Visa is joining Paxos and Robinhood stablecoin consortium for another stablecoin called USDG. And by the way, they're going to be, I believe, vying for everybody's business. So what are they going to do? They're going to be giving as much percentages for interest as possible, right? And so where are they going to get those percentages? From borrowing and lending. Because if you say, listen, put your coins here and we'll give you 10%, you don't think a lot of people are going to do that? They are. And so that shows growth in the network, more usage of the network. People are involved in the network. People tell their friends, they love it. Oh my God, I'm making 10% a month on this. Blah, blah, blah. The banks go out of business. But the issue is how they're making that 10%. Are they making it on safer investments like Federal Reserve backed type of things, or are they doing it by lending and borrowing? Because if the stablecoin issuers start getting into lending and borrowing, it becomes to the point where over leverage is what will drive the price back down and bring us to a bear market. And we're already seeing that. We're already seeing borrowing and lending picking up. And you'll see more liquidations in DeFi. And as people get more bullish, they're going to bet more of their house on it and leverage. And once you start doing that in a bull market, again, the prices can go down 80% in a day and then recover. And so if you're levered and we go down, 10%, you can get liquidated. 20%, you can get liquidated. And so sometimes you're going to see flushes like this where it just clears out all the liquidations, clears out all the over leverage, and then the price will immediately recover and then get back to the bull market. So everybody who was betting on the system lost, and everybody who was long on the system would win. So yeah, it's another way to think about it. Now, I would say that's probably less likely going to happen than just drops in the market because, again, we're in the final stages of this bull market. But there will be volatility. There will be corrective phases and pumps again. But, we got 6 months until that 18-month after the Bitcoin halving. And so a lot can happen in that time frame. And these markets can go up and down 3, 4, 5, 6 times in that time frame. So we'll have to kind of see how that all plays out. Let me know what you guys think is going to happen. Let me know what you guys think about my analysis. Don't forget to give the video a thumbs up, and I'll see you when I see you. Crypto on.